Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Well, hello and welcome to the show. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle, and we have with us today Tony Rollo with Technical Service Engineering, TSE.net. Welcome to the show, Tony, and share with us a little bit about your background, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur, and what motivates you to help others.
Well, hi, Mike. Thanks for having me on the program. As far as being an entrepreneur, there's a particular mindset that different people have. And I just happen to have the mindset where, we have to create our own way. And that might be affliction. I'm not sure exactly. But me and my wife, who's a computer scientist, we've been doing e-commerce now for 20 years. And I guess the earliest was both sets of grandparents I had their own business. My father's side, it was a small engine repair business. On my mother's side, it was a very brilliant, interesting business model. It was like a mobile clothing business. That's the best way I can put it. But it was very fascinating. And I grew up watching them in their work and in their businesses, spend a lot of time. And I guess it just naturally kind of oozed down the family tree, I guess.
Yeah. So, you mentioned 20 years and e-commerce. So we all know what e-commerce looks like now, and we can only imagine if we peek over the fence and what e-commerce can look like in the future. I'm curious, what did e-commerce look like 20 years ago with respect to technology and what actually was an e-commerce transaction?
Oh, it was archaic. We were using, at the time, what would be considered state-of-the-art software. But every time you had to update it or upgrade or add modules, you had to reinvent the wheel. And we were spending more. It was a good thing that I have an engineering background and my wife is a computer scientist. That's one of the reasons why we naturally got into it, because we had the wherewithal as far as our technical abilities. And I had been doing websites for financial companies and businesses and everything, and I saw how we had a knack of being successful at it, and I said, well, we need to do our own products or do stores or what have you. But yeah, it was like beating on a rock with a paper straw to get it to do what you're doing. And of course, if you think back of the early days, that was the early days of eBay, the early days of Amazon.
Yeah.
And we had no real desire to be an Amazonian company. We wanted a comfortable lifestyle. We wanted to have more time for family and our children. And we like setting our own pace and our own destiny. And that's what e-commerce allows people to do. Now, today, it's wonderful because before we were spending so much time actually running servers and everything that doing the e-commerce side as far as taking care of customers and everything was almost an afterthought. I'm exaggerating. Now there's wonderful tools, and we've been able to interface things together. Now, in the future, I'm sure that things will get progressively better. I'm sure, but it's like any machine. The easier a machine is to operate, the more complicated it is internally and more prone to break. So I don't see a push button. I'm going to have a store and I push a button. I wake up in the morning, I roll out of bed, I push a button. And I make $1 million, and I just roll back over and go back to sleep. That'll never happen. But there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that want you to believe that now. Pay me, and I'll make you a millionaire, and you just punch a button. It doesn't work that way.
So, what's the most important aspect we need with e-commerce, and what's maybe an example for someone just starting out hearing the word e-commerce? What would that look like if they have a business already, or what would that look like if they are thinking, I'm going to get into some sort of online something, and I heard this term e-commerce. What is the most important thing that those two examples would need to keep in mind?
Well, that is an awesome question, because there's people that are just starting off, want to get into this, because this is the 21st century way. I mean, there's no question about it. But to start off from ground zero, we have to separate the fads from the trends. If people in business, if they're chasing after fads all the time, and there are business cycles, there's fads happen all the time. They come and go. We have to concentrate on what the real trends are, what's actually happening. I believe it's Albert Einstein said that a man needs to look at the way things are, not the way things he thinks they should be like. We have to go after reality. There was a major study on American commerce, the U.S. Department of Commerce, and very recently they put out a huge amount of real data on consumer buyer habits. For the first time, they included immense data on e-commerce, because e-commerce is an extremely important aspect of modern business. I have a question. Could you imagine if you had a business in the 20th century, in 1950, 1960, 1970, and you didn't have a telephone? Could you imagine that? You can't. Well, now we have half of the businesses that do not even have a website. And I really understand why. I really, really do. Being a professional in the field, I understand why. And maybe we'll talk about that a little later. But it's very important, and e-commerce is absolutely important to incorporate into your business. If a business, an established business, or if you want to go into business, e-commerce is extremely important for survival into the 21st century, because it is here
we could go
now.
A few different directions on that with respect to there's probably a lot of case studies of businesses you've worked with that would have never thought of, well, I sell widgets, or I do, lawn care, and let's just pick lawn care as an example. I don't know. I'll bet you that you could sit down with a company that owns a lawn care business in Nashville and say, have you ever thought about e-commerce? And they're going, I go out and I do lawn care and fertilizing and aerating and cutting grass. What are you talking about? But I'll bet you could say, but if we could do a monthly maintenance program, or if we could put out the definitive guide to do-it-yourself lawn care maintenance so that you don't have to pay your lawn care professional company as much throughout the year, and that is going to be X number of dollars for this product, that product, this membership, this retainer fee, now all of a sudden they go, now that kind of opens up my eyes and fills in the peaks and valleys rather than, the winters coming and whatnot. So talk about maybe one example of some business you've worked with that didn't think that they needed or could use e-commerce, and you pitched an idea and they said, now that could work.
It's really funny that what you just said about those businesses, because that's exactly what has happened. And there's actually three main ways to use e-commerce. And in other words, what you just said about a service company, lawn care. I can't use e-commerce. I'm not selling things. I can't mow the grass through the internet.
Yeah, remotely.
But yes, you can as far as providing your services. But the three main ways to use e-commerce. The first one is you sell products produced by others that, your traditional, you buy it from a producer or a wholesaler or what have you, and sell the products in a store. The other way is to sell products that you produce yourself, and we do that too, because I'm a media producer, and we do that. But the third main way is you can use e-commerce most certainly to provide a service to customers and clients. Scheduling, accepting payments, communicating. And let me tell you something. Businesses are leaving serious money on the table because that thing that would get set on our front door once a year or twice a year called the Yellow Pages doesn't exist anymore. And it used to be in the 20th century, just like you had to have a telephone. If you were a business, you had to be in those yellow pages because people turn to the yellow pages. What do they turn to now? They turn to search engines. They go to the internet. They search. They say, hello, whatever the name, hello Google or whatever.
Yep.
I need a lawn care service. And it will immediately give you those who have a web presence in your immediate area.
Let me throw this out at you because you mentioned businesses that don't have websites. I will agree with you. I've heard a stat that I don't know how relevant or how accurate this is, but I've heard it a couple times. There are about 40% of small businesses that still don't have a website. And I can see with that, a lot of people think it's hard and all of that. Well, I would submit to you that a business needs a website, and I'm not even saying it because I build websites. I know my way enough around that I can piddle around on projects I work on. But I would say that for the authority and the branding and the positioning in and of itself, a business needs a website, even if it's only a one-page, call it whatever you want, one-page website, one-page sales page, one-page, landing page, just something that shows their business and maybe a link to their Facebook page and a link to their Yelp listing. And here's why I say that. When you do that search you just mentioned and you grab your phone and you go, ooh, I need whatever, that locksmith, that you need to be able to be found out there because no one in the world is going to trust going to any company if they don't see something about them online and
Correct.
maybe even corroborated by 2 or 3 people that they might not even know. So, yeah, I got my website,
Correct.
whoop-de-doo, but, man, we better get a couple Yelp reviews, a couple Google reviews so that I get a 5-star rating here and there so that primes the pump. So Can you speak to using some of the e-commerce tools that would help build that company's brand and credibility, even in a very low-level surface way, because people don't care that you don't have 428 pages on your website. They just want to kind of look at it, glance at it, and you know as well as I do, you can look at a website and go, ooh, really? That's your website? But even if you had just a one-page website and a Contact Us tab, a lot of times that will work. So where does that play into an e-commerce strategy?
It is extremely important. One of our flagship stores. We have stores that we have a big mall that my Lord, we have tens of thousands of products in it. We have one specialty music store that's really drives us that we've been operating for about 15 years, and we absolutely dominate the search engines, and it's not easy. And these other sites, social networking, there's a lot of mumbo jumbo and snake oil involved with social media marketing. But the really, really important thing people need to be able to do is to get indexed into the search engines. And of course, that's Google and Bing, Yahoo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we dominate it, and not just if they look for our name, our business name. That's easy to get locked in there. But with generic keyword searches, accompaniment music, or, backing tracks or what have you, because that music company is involved with accompaniment music. And you have to do that. Well, we've done that. Well, how do you do it? That could fill many, many volumes of books, but it's getting back to what we were originally talking about, is separating the fads from the trends. There are so many snake oil salesmen out there. There's so much misinformation. And like I said before, I don't blame business people by just being so confused, and the ones that don't have websites yet, because on television you have these companies saying, we'll build a website for free. And let me tell you something, but if you like it, you can pay us a low monthly fee. And then in a year you've spent 5 or 6 times more than you need to, plus no one can find your website because it's being built by somebody with a template in a sweatshop somewhere. Who knows? You have to do things. You have to follow trends. You have to do what's real, not what seems real, if you see what I'm saying. But there's such a feeding frenzy.
what do you feel and hear about the trend today online, which my background is marketing, and I teach marketing at 3 universities, and I have clients in my private practice, and one of the biggest things and trends that I see right now is moving away from SEO, search engine optimization, because I think too many people will get their site SEO optimized, and then they get excited because, hey, I can get found, and all of a sudden they now are shining a spotlight on, ooh, those Yelp reviews were pretty bad, or those Google reviews, yeah, those people weren't too happy. And so what you need to do is build and market a reputation online by getting with your good customers and having them give that review and rating so that it shows up online. And my personal accountant here in Colorado, I hooked him up on our reputation platform where he had hundreds of clients, and they were all thrilled with him, but he was like, I can't, this one guy right down the street from me, he's got a better web presence than me, and his website's horrible, and he doesn't have any reviews, and I've got 2 or 3. And so we hooked this up, and in about 90 days, he increased his Yelp reviews from 2 to 8 and his Google reviews from 2 to 12. And just because of that, that popped him up into the Google, what they call now the Snack Pack, and his Yelp website, his Yelp listing on the Yelp website is up on page 1. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, just by getting these reviews, those signals are telling Google that you're relevant. So is that a trend that you see that then plays into building that trust so people will feel comfortable buying from your e-commerce store on your website?
Yeah, actually, reputations are important. Getting a new customer, they can help. One of the most important things that you can have in e-commerce, or really any business, is return customers. You satisfy the customer. And in my book, Discovering the E-commerce Lifestyle, I go into that, the customer experience, what's important. There is so much material out there about, how to do this, how to do that, as far as the mechanics and nuts and bolts of and things. But we have to educate businesses on the proper mindset. But going back to the mindset to have an e-commerce site, going after the trends and getting away from the fads. But yeah, you're exactly right. There's a lot of wonderful tools out there. Reputation is very important. Interesting that you're involved with it. Back to the firm foundation we need, we have to understand business principles that work. You have to position yourself in the marketplace. That's really important. But I'm not going to argue or disagree with you about something saying getting away from SEO, because that is absolutely the number one thing that a business needs if you have a website, to get indexed into the search engines. However, in saying that, you have to stay away from the snake oil salesman, because you build your site to be friendly to begin with. And that's what we've done. We have 20 years experience with this. It is a eternal vigil. Okay, you can't just build something and then go away. And one of the reasons why I know why business people are frustrated or don't have a website, or they've tried before, is they hire some little techno geek or a technical company, and they might know the technology, or they probably do. They know the technology. They're real smart when it comes to the technology, but they don't understand where the rubber hits the road as far as business, as far as selling to actual customers. They have no idea. They can make a fancy logo. They can do this, that, and the other. And then what happens is you pay them some money, they throw a site together, and they hit the road. And all you see is elbows and heels. And you can't get them on the phone. What we do is what we build in, and that's why it's so different now than before. We actually build in technology. We spindle and mutilate existing tools, whatever comes along, and we apply them in a unique way, to where we can continually add content to the sites easily, which keeps the search engines interested, and we keep index. Because, for example, like I was talking about our music site, somebody says, "Oh, we're doing the show or something. We need this song. Let's get on the search engine. Okay, we're looking for this song. Blah 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 blah." We pop up first. They go, "Oh, look at that." They click on it. They go in. They go, "Yep, that's what we need. Buy it. Order it. Gone." Phew. And then in that package we send to them, okay, That's very, very important real estate, because now we're sending them a package. We put in a nice card. We put in a nice advertisement card and everything, so they can contact us again, and other things, and flyers. And then inside the music, we have an insert that has, the website and where we are. So then later on, or somebody gets it, they open it up and they go, "Oh, you got it from this place. Oh, this place looks really interesting. Let me go there." And of course, we get a lot of feedback, and we use that feedback in a positive way to show that we have a great reputation, like you were talking about before.
Yeah, you made two huge points. SEO is very relevant. My
Yes.
comment was just that businesses hear SEO and they think that tomorrow afternoon, because you launched the SEO campaign this morning, that tomorrow afternoon they're going to be visible. And they think
Right.
they have unrealistic expectations. So it takes
Right.
longer and more work and consistent, and Google changes their mind every 10 minutes, and they introduce the Google zoo of pandas and penguins and hummingbirds and all of those things. So I think that's the long play, and you got to do it the right way. But many times, I've said this so many times, and you just confirmed it, sometimes the best marketing is a job well done and good customer service. So someone finds you, buys your product, and then what happens when they get the product in hand? And what you just described was, I'm looking forward to Brian Solis's new book on the customer experience, because that is coming. The new trend is what customers experience. My wife is a choir director at our church, and she orders music from these church websites for music and cantatas and things. And there's this one, she goes, "Why are these people still in business? Because you place an order and you hear nothing, and then it's just a terrible experience." And what
she needs to come talk to us.
Okay, well, I'll point her your direction.
From us. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Because we ship all over. It's amazing. We have back when we were doing that one particular store, we had I put up a map of the United States. I said, we're going to put one of those little push pins in, every time we have a customer. I was so excited, and it suddenly became this sea of pins, and we just gave up. But that's exactly true. And it's always been very important for the customer experience. I mean, that's one thing that I go in with discovering the e-commerce lifestyle, getting that mindset, understanding what people want. And a lot of times you just think about how you want to be treated. But it's as old as business itself. And that's why I go into why you need a firm foundation, also learning from big brands that made mistakes, the past. And it's just like when we first started a conversation talking about watching my grandparents, my maternal grandfather do business, watching my father's side, mother and father, my grandparents run their small engine repair shop, and how to deal with people, how to satisfy them, how to do good work, because really your work is what reflects what you are and who you are as a business and a person. Here's something interesting. I'm in Nashville. I'm very much involved with the fabric of Nashville and the entertainment industry. I've got a couple of feature films out. But anyway, so many times you watch someone become a star. And they do, and it's because they sing great, they did a great song. That's what people are interested in. They're interested in your work. As soon as that star thinks it's all about them, they go away. Their star burns out. It's the same with business, because it's not you, it's what you provide, it's your work. You see what I'm saying?
And I would come back at you and throw this out and say from two perspectives. You mentioned the customer experience, and let's use, for example, the music order, and you put all the nice accoutrements in there, and you send it out, and they get it, and it's a great experience. Well, I feel that when you interject your personality into a let's call it an e-commerce transaction where people just think click, click, buy, and on my doorstep, and soon to be drones if Amazon has their way. But really quickly, here comes my order, right? Well, what would happen if, in your example, you shot a generic, not for every order, but what if you shot a quick little webcam video of you in your conference room or in the warehouse just saying, hey, thank you so much for your order. Just wanted to take a quick moment to welcome to our family. We're going to do everything that we can to blah, 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 blah. Hey, your order's on the way. Hope to see you soon and next time. And you had that little thumbnail screenshot and sent that as a auto-generated email that goes out once their order is processed, and they get that email, and it's like, oh, hey, that's a human right there. And so I think that customer experience with making the technology a little bit more personable, and then your example about the music, I agree with you that once, kind of like the pride level goes up, then people start going, wait a minute. But I would look at it from another perspective and say, hey, that star was made, and wow, this person now is volunteering their time on Thanksgiving Day serving food to the homeless. And so it depends on how you are shining your personality. If it's that prideful, look at me, it doesn't work. But if it's a giving, serving, helping others kind of it gives people a peek into that performer or that star's life to where then it can enhance it. So can you speak to those kind of two examples and how that ties into, e-commerce?
Sure. And what you said is good. Basically, it's basically the icing on the cake. But, we're involved with actual business every day. And what it really comes down to is the cake itself. And maybe I need to get really, really visceral. But speaking of the big star, the singing star, or what have you, or a band comes up with a great song, and you listen to it, and you identify with it, and you go, this is really a great song. Who did that song? Oh, it was by the so-and-so band. Then that becomes a brand, okay? Mm-hmm. Then they announce the so-and-so band is coming out with a new album, and you go, oh, wow. And on anticipation of that great product that you consumed before, you're willing to buy again. That's the customer experience. Yep. But then if the so-and-so band then thinks, oh, it's all about us,
and they put out a less than perfect product, then it crumbles.
You are. I guarantee you're going to put out a less than a good product, because if you get into that mindset with a lot of businesses and people do, it's about me and everything. Your personality and everything becomes a brand. And the only reason why it does is because you provided the good service. You have to maintain that. Yeah. Now, that said, there are people out there, there are customers out there that will never be satisfied. And I'll never forget years and years and years and years ago, it must have been a dozen years ago, we had this one particular customer. And I suddenly realized that if I got in my car and I drove several states away where they were, showed up on their doorstep, knocked on the door, they opened the door, and I cut my wrists and bled to death on their doorstep, that still wouldn't be enough. That's another aspect of it. I'm being a little too visual with this, but you're going to have to build a logistical machine. You're going to have to take in consideration that you're going to have you're going to have super fans, okay? Yeah. Which we do with our company. Yes, exactly. You're going to have the super haters. You can't play to either of those. Yeah. Because a lot of time I've seen so many businesses fail because everybody loves that pat on the back and the accolades. But if you listen to them, you're going to. If you listen to the extreme haters, like you just said, you're going to fail. If you listen to the super fans only, you're going to fail. You have to build a machine that provides a great service product, whatever you're doing, and you have to keep chugging along, and you cannot deviate. Once you build that machine that works, that's the logistics. Okay, logistics are most important, all important. It doesn't matter if it's brick and mortar or an e-commerce store. It's very, very important in an e-commerce store. Oh my goodness, logistics. And you have to build that machine, and you do not deviate, because there will be the few that will come along and say, oh, I need this tomorrow, and I need this whatever. I need this, whatever. And you deviate, and you will lose money every time. I guarantee you. There's another interesting thing we have where people can call us, and I'm happy to talk to people on the phone. They leave us a message, we call them back and everything, and they can contact us by phone. An interesting thing with e-commerce is the people that call and they want to ask question after question after question after question, they rarely buy from you.
Wow.
They don't buy from anyone. And I hear that from other professionals too. There's so many, let me say this. Nothing replaces experience. And so if you have a business, or if you say, I want to do this e-commerce thing, I'm stuck in a cubicle, I can't stand it, I'm punching somebody else's clock, I'm miserable, I really, really would like to get into e-commerce, or you have a business and you say, we really need to get into e-commerce. We've got to survive into the 21st century, okay? Nothing replaces experience. You need to go with people that understand using e-commerce in a real-world situation. They actually deal with e-commerce people. You know, technology is fun and it's great. I could sit here and go on and on about how wonderful our technology is as far as our servers and where they are. And, you know, we are 2.5 gigabit burstable, 100%, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that's a lot of mumbo jumbo to most people.
But all that will change the day after tomorrow, technology-wise.
Right. It doesn't matter to us because we ride and we can adapt and move. And it's just like the tools we're using now. We use state-of-the-art industry standard tools. We put them together in a very unique way. But what's interesting is what I love to do is to have businesses, they have working business models, and be able to apply that to e-commerce and websites and reaching people that are way outside, you know, on the other side of the world even. You know, I've met so many fascinating people about that just have come up with these amazing business models, and they use e-commerce and they use the standard methodologies of using e-commerce, and they've ended up failing because their technology was lacking. When you have the right tools and you get with the right people that have the experience, then you can succeed.
Because those people have made the mistakes, learned from them, and know how to teach you how to avoid those mistakes and make the right decisions.
Yeah, I can show you a lot of scars that we have for that.
Yep.
And usually, you know, it's field engineering. Now, I have an engineering background, and you have to understand have you ever heard the saying, well, I'm sure you have, it's like the optimist and the pessimist. The optimist says, you know, the glass is half full. The pessimist says the glass is half empty. Did you know there's a third guy? That's the engineer. The third guy's the engineer.
Is there even a glass or something like that?
No. The glass is actually twice as big as it should be.
Oh, got it.
That's the engineering. Now, the reason why my partnership with my wife, who's a computer scientist, now I like to say that she's the bean counter and I'm the wing nut. And she's very good at detail and coding and all this kind of stuff. And I code too. She says I code better. That's you know, anyway, we have an interesting back and forth a lot of times. But we have that teamwork. We complement each other because of my mindset of the engineer, practicality of things.
Processes and systems. Exactly.
And that goes, you've got to have all of that. What's interesting is you will never get away from needing the technology, right? You'll never get away from pleasing customers. There's many, many aspects to e-commerce that's as old as business is from the first time people were doing business.
There's always going to be a need for that human element.
It's the delivery. You know, if you look at the entertainment industry, like we were talking about, you know, when people were huddling around their television sets in the 1950s and the 60s watching Ed Sullivan, they're watching all the comedians and the jugglers and the musicians and what have you. Well, go back to 1890, people were in a theater watching jugglers and comedians and what have you. Then they were in movie theaters. They were gathered around radio sets in the 30s. Then they were, in movie theaters watching, entertainment. Now you can watch entertainment in the palm of your hand on a tablet or a smartphone or a big screen TV or what have you. You can stream it. It's not even a physical product anymore. It's the same with business. Everything, it's not business itself. It's how business is delivered.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So if anyone is listening and wonders, I am in the XYZ type business, and I wonder if I could have e-commerce bolted onto my business model and add an extra stream of revenue to my bottom line. What's the best way that people can get to your website or your services, and what would you be able to offer them to help them dip their toe in the water of learning how e-commerce could benefit their business?
Well, I really appreciate you asking that. Our main company, Technical Service Engineering, is at tse.net. That's T like Tom, S like Sam, E like Edward.net, Technical Service Engineering, tse.net. That also shows how long we've been around. I mean, that's 20 years ago. But also my personal website, it's tonyrollo.com, where we have that's kind of my main jump off. But you can email me and contact me. Contact us through the business side and everything. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of the people that contact us they might have probably already done business with us and didn't know it.
Well, I would encourage people that have that pressing question in their mind of, I wonder what if I could have some e-commerce in my business, what that would look like, to reach out to Tony and have him see what he could recommend for your business and how he could help guide the way. So it's really nice getting to know you, and I think we really could have talked for about another 3.5 more hours and still scratch the surface and grab a cup of coffee and gone, okay, now another 3.5 hours. I think this is just really intriguing. So it's great learning from you.
If I can say just one last thing, something that Dale Carnegie said. Dale Carnegie said, people rarely succeed unless they have fun in what they're doing. You got to have fun. E-commerce is fun. It's so challenging. Thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Tony. You have a great day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.